don't go together. But it took us a while before we figured it out. What a shame. I'm not asking you for closure, I just want it to be over. We don't need to break up if we were never aligned. Is that okay? I shouldn't be yours if it means changing who I am to get us through. You shouldn't be mine because you're you.
Hello? Hi. Hi. So, is our life perfect and amazing yet? No, very far from perfect. What? But you're 30! I'm actually way past 30. What? Oh my gosh, you're so old! I thought by then our life would for sure be perfect. Have all of our hopes and dreams come true yet? Girl, I'll keep you posted. Okay, well you better get to work on them because... Welcome to my series where I dive into what adulting looks and feels like as women in our 30s. Tips and tricks, venting sessions, crying sessions, and more. I guess I'll have to tell 12-year-old me. I'm still growing in my 30s.
Good morning. Good morning, you guys. Spend the day with me today and let's talk about how I found my courage in my 30s. So I don't know if this is just me, but as a kid, when I thought about my adulthood or dreamed about growing up, I thought the pinnacle of adulthood was 30 or 30. Like all your greatest things should be achieved by 30 is what I thought. You should have $1 million. You should have met the hottest man ever who's also really freaking rich and successful. You should have a banging body. You should look the hottest you've ever looked. You finally have boobs, a butt. You should have 3 kids, probably a mansion, and just be living the happiest life ever.
And have it all together.
Was that just me? Was I the only delusional kid that thought that? Or were there other people in their childhood who, when you looked up to adulthood, you kind of can resonate with the things that I thought? For those of you that are new here and don't know who I am, I thought I could share some credentials of mine where maybe I am the right person to share about gaining courage in your 30s. There's 2 major things that I feel like I was very courageous about in my 30s. So the first thing is my marriage. So I've been married about 6 years now, and the first 3 years of our marriage was really, really tough. So my husband kind of struggled with depression in and out in his late teens and his 20s. And then, you know, we had fallen in love, we got married in our late 20s, and then COVID happened. And the world shut down, he was dealing with a family health crisis on his side, and then everything just kind of imploded for the next few years, or the next couple of years. His depression got really bad. I know what you might be thinking, like, okay, is this a story about his courage or yours? But I think something that we don't talk about a lot is the partners or the family members of someone who is going through a mental health crisis or even just a health crisis. Like, it really does take a toll. And here's some context. We live in Seattle. Our whole family is in Texas. We didn't have any family around while this was happening. We did have a good group of friends, but you know, everyone's just busy living their life. And when I looked around our friend groups who were majority newlyweds or people getting engaged, and people were fighting over things like, you know, put down the toilet, or he needs to clean, or sleep patterns. Like, I was literally fighting, not even fighting, just like suffering about, okay, is my husband gonna get out of bed today? Like, it was a really dark and lonely time. And it took a lot of courage on my end to think about, okay, I have to stay strong, and this marriage and also he has to get better. So it took a lot of courage for me and a lot of strength on my end to support him and like get him help for his mental health, and also like support myself. Looking back, I really feel like this was a really courageous time of my life. I really had to figure out, okay, I want this marriage to work. I need to help this man get better. And so I kind of had to rely on myself and be strong and gain a lot of courage, even though it was really lonely, and help him heal, help myself heal. Like, there was a lot of solo doing during that time. And now a few years have passed since the dark days is what I call it. And he is probably mentally the healthiest person that I know around me, like the most stable. We've fallen even deeper in love probably than when we were dating or engaged or in our newlywed phase. Like, it really took a lot of strength and courage on my end, and also on his end, I acknowledge, but a lot of my part. And we are honestly at the best place ever now, and I'm so grateful for him. I'm so proud of him, and I'm really so proud of us, of how far we've come. But it was scary. Like, it was really scary, and I know people have gone through worse, and there's a lot more courageous people around there, but I think around my like circle of people, that was pretty courageous on my end. So yeah, I claim that I'm a badass, courageous wife. That's one of my credentials. My second credential is that I completely changed my career in my 30s. So I worked in corporate for probably, like 10 years. And now I'm a full-time paid content creator. Like, it's really crazy thinking about the journey that's brought me here. And yeah, it did take a lot of courage. Honestly, like, the courage that I talked about having for my marriage versus the courage for this feels a little different. Like, this one felt more thrilling, exciting courage, although it was scary and a lot of anxiety. This one has still required my courage every day. Like, it's a small business that I run, I'm a freelancer, and I am not a risky person. And so this took a lot of courage to put myself on the internet, embarrass myself on the internet, like make cringe videos. It's not easy, especially in your 30s, I gotta say. I feel like it would have been easier for me if I was a teenager and everyone's kind of on TikTok, but I don't know, that could just be me. Maybe it's probably hard for everyone. I can't say this was an easy change, but I honestly can say my personal life, for the most part, and my career life has felt extremely fulfilled in the last couple of years. And yeah, that gives me every right to make this video for you.
You're probably like, no, it doesn't. Hurry up and just get to the point.
I tried making this herbal, like Chinese herbal medicine tea, I guess, broth. And it's supposed to be really good for your collagen, your hormonal health. It has all sorts of goodies in there. And basically I just keep it refrigerated, and then I pour a little bit into here, pour hot water in, and it becomes like my morning tea.
This tea is actually really good. Like, it's not as herbally, it's just more, it's almost fruity, if you will. I did add an apple in it, maybe that's why. So one thing that always kind of repeats in my head is something my mom told me whenever I was like in high school. I think she told me again in like my college years, maybe even through my 20s, but she told me that one thing that she wishes she had done differently in her like 30s, 40s, 50s, she's now in her 60s, is she kind of wishes that she lived more intentionally and lived more with direction. Mind you, just for some context, my mom has been an incredible mom all of mine and my sister's lives. She's happily married to my dad. They've been married for about 35 years now, and she also has run small businesses all her life. So generally, my parents have done well for themselves. Like, I've never had to worry financially. They were able to pay for my college. Overall, objectively, yes, she lived such a fulfilled life and a very privileged life that many might say. And obviously, she's given me an even more privileged life. But something that she always tells me is that she wishes that she just kind of lived with more intentionality rather than just going through the motions. She says, once she was in her late 20s, she met my dad, they got married, they had me right away early on in their marriage. And then it was really just about raising kids and focusing on her kids. And then once she was an empty nester, I think she kind of realized like, oh, I never really had goals for myself. I never really had direction. She says even for her store, she was just kind of making money as it came, and she got lucky, and was able to pay the bills, was able to pay for her kids' college tuition. Like she really just says like her life was a repeated cycle of luck, which she is obviously so thankful for, but she kind of wishes that she had more plans for herself, or maybe she wants to grow her business in this way, or maybe she wants to work on this for herself, and she never really got a chance to kind of do that early on. And I think it's because she was so focused on being a mom to us. And that's just something she kind of always told me and my sisters, is to live with a little bit more direction. That's something that she just wished she had done. And that like always kind of rings in my head, and I'm so thankful for that, because if we have kids or just going through the motions of life in your adulthood is so natural. Like when you're a kid, you always have the next step. Like, okay, I finished first grade, now you gotta make it to second grade. Okay, you finished second grade, now you gotta make it to third grade. Like it's on and on. And then there's like these extracurricular activities like you gotta audition for, and it's exciting. And you gotta get to college, and then after college, like make sure you get a good internship or a good job. And there were more levels of growth and change and like evolution that kind of excites you. But I feel like once you're in your adulthood, I think it's important to, like my mom did, focus on the growth of your kids. And like now it's your kids, they gotta get to kindergarten, then first grade. But she just wishes that had been a different mentality for her. Who knows, maybe to say that if she had lived that way, she could have been happier or unhappier than she is right now. But yeah, it's just always a good reminder, and it kind of stuck with me. And that's something that I want to make sure I do, like through my 30s, through my 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. I think that's really important. And when I look at the people around me, like the people who have kind of focused on that, it's like their happiness level, and then their magnetism and their aura, even for their energy that they give to the people around them, is so positive. And I think it's hard. I think it's harder to do. It's way easier said than done. And yeah, it's something that rings in my head, and I hope it sticks with you too, as much as it stuck with me when my mom told me that. So cheers to our 30s. So I got back from my run, and I decided I wanted to prep a little bit of food for dinner. My husband actually ran this really cool, crazy race down in Oregon, and it's called Hood to Coast. And a group of him plus 11 other people do like probably a 200-mile, close to 200-mile race. It's like a relay race over the weekend. So that's why I've been solo this weekend. And he's coming home tonight, so I wanted to make a special dinner, galbi and naengmyeon. That's Korean soy sauce marinated grilled ribs and Korean cold noodles. So I did that and then snacked a little bit, and now we're here. Back to talking about being courageous in our 30s. This might be a little bit more specific to making content, but I honestly feel like if you want to try anything or challenge yourself on anything, there's always a little bit of embarrassment. Like if you want to learn how to dance or try going to an accounting class, like learning a new skill, it's just embarrassing because you have to suck for a while. Like even me running, I only ran 2 miles, and I don't know, for some people that might sound like a lot, for others that might sound like nothing. And it's like, it's still embarrassing because I wouldn't categorize myself as a runner, but I really do. But I'm like semi-enjoying it lately, and there hasn't been much improvement because I haven't been doing it consistently long enough. But there's also like a little bit of embarrassment and suffering on top of that. But everything is just a little bit embarrassing, you know, especially when you start out. And especially for those of you that are sensitive or very conscious of being judged by others or what other people think about you. This has personally worked for me, and I feel like this really resonates true, okay? One of the keys to stop caring about what other people think or stop caring about being judged, whatever you do, again, this is really relevant for me because I started making content, aka putting myself on the internet, and it's there for everyone and their mothers to find. A major component to stop caring about what people think about you is you have to stop being judgmental of others. Yeah, did you hear that? Do you need me to repeat it? And you might say like,
Oh, I'm not judgmental of others, I just care what people think about me.
I really think when I'm in my seasons of being very judgmental about people, and I'm actually not a huge shit talker or like, I don't talk a ton of crap about people behind their backs or anything like that, but inside, there are seasons where I'm just really highly judgmental of other people, like their choices or whatever it is. And those are the seasons I severely care about how people perceive me, or I'm afraid that they'll judge me. And then in the seasons where I really try to stop judging other people, like whatever decision they make, I think to myself, if I were in their shoes, I would have probably made a similar choice. Like, or if I just really think something is embarrassing or cringy or someone's just being weird, I really try my best to self-correct. And those are the seasons where I gain the most confidence, where I stop caring about what people think. And I really, it's projection, it really is. And it's something that I feel like my mom has kind of talked about and kind of taught me. And it really helps with your self-confidence. Like, people always talk about,
Oh, love yourself, like stop judging yourself, stop, being so harsh on yourself.
but I also think a lot of times the people who are the harshest on themselves or even just most afraid are also really judgy people.
I'm afraid to call you out.
And I am also guilty of it. So if you are wanting to pursue something, I don't know, online like I am, or just something that might have your question or your family or friends judge you that you want to try something new, and you're really, really afraid of it and you can feel a lot of resistance, I think just try going through a season where even when you see the weirdest people online, on the streets, in your life, whatever, try to kind of change your heart to not be so judgmental of them. And I swear, like a weird confidence creeps in where you won't be so afraid of people judging you either. I don't know what it is, but I swear that's something that I've noticed about myself in the seasons where I'm the most confident, or I just really don't care what people think, and it really works. So to all my fellow judgmental queens, let's try to knock it down a notch. Okay, I'm all showered, nice and clean, gonna get dinner ready soon. I feel like finances are really important in your 30s. I guess in some ways, at least in my life, it's been way more important in my 30s than it was in my 20s. And that's because like in my 20s, as long as I had my rent paid, money to feed myself, some extra cash to go shopping, like I was as happy as a clam. However, in your 30s, I think just the expectation of life for people to get married, people to buy houses and like start having kids, I think it requires a lot more planning, a lot more like rigorous and hesitative decisions on a lot of your financial choices. But just some context, I'm actually a very risk-averse person. I might have said that earlier. And I am also fairly frugal. I don't spend a ton. I think a lot of my close friends and family can vouch for that. That's not to say I'm like the most frugal or the wisest with my money, but I'm definitely not a spender. I also don't take huge risks with money, and I'm also not the greatest like negotiator. It's just not a quality that I was born with, and not a quality I've practiced or grown. And I'm not proud of it. However, I did want to say, like, for me, it kind of took a little bit of faith in myself, and it took a lot of courage to take the risk of, I quit my job and I started content creation, and I took it very seriously. I don't think I knew if it would grow at all or if it would become lucrative at all and be able to pay my mortgage, but I think I just felt this sense of, okay, if not now, when? And I do not want to encourage any risky gambling behavior with this, but just anyone who needs a little bit of pep talk or just that extra push to try something that could be a little bit more risky. And just please make sure you don't go into a ton of debt and you don't end up homeless on the streets starving. But if all of those things are covered, which they were on my end, I feel like certain risks are worth taking. in your 30s and probably throughout your life. But I think in my head, I was very like, oh, 30s is when you should really start saving for the future and like, you know, you need to get serious about your money. And I kind of had to take like this mental shift of, okay, I have to be okay. And I'm still going through that as a freelancer, small business owner, of like being okay with uncertainty with finances, and it's still really scary. It's still a muscle I'm working on, but I think it's important. And I think if there's anything you're considering doing an investment in or a career change that requires some type of setback financially, like I think it's okay to try it personally, as long as you're not putting yourself or anyone you love in huge risk. Like just a little bit of financial discomfort is good for the soul. Oh gosh, this is starting to sound like bad advice. But I wanted to be honest, like that's really a place I was at. That's a place where I had to be brave a little bit and kind of step out of my comfort zone. So yeah, gamble all your money away. Running 200 miles. Good morning. It is the next day, and sorry, last night we got carried away because my husband came home from the race and we had a lovely dinner together, and so I just didn't have time to film the rest of this video. But I wanted to get back on it with my last point about finding courage in your 30s. I've never used this setting spray before, but I feel like I always see all the makeup influencers using this one, so. Ooh, feels nice and refreshing though. So my last point is like shifting your mindset about failure. I grew up in that very stereotypical Asian household mindset where failing is bad. Like you do not want to fail. I mean, whether that's like failing your class, failing competition, like just failure is associated with like a negative thing. And I don't know why it's taken all my life, 30s. I mean, it's partially probably my mom's fault for kind of instilling that Asian mindset into me, which I think now she probably recognizes it's probably not the healthiest for a child. But that fear of failure or resistance to failure is so unhealthy, not only as a kid, but even through your adulthood. Like I think something I'm realizing in my 30s is I want to get used to failing. If that's weird. Like I feel like failing often means that you're trying new things, you're continuously exploring, and that for me is like really exciting. I feel like always pushing yourself is not a healthy thing, but if in a given year you have failed at nothing, I feel like you should try attempting a couple things. Like I just feel like it excites your life. And I also hear like a lot of my mom friends saying more often than not, they feel like they're failing at being a good mother and stuff. Like even that, as shitty as that feeling is, because that does impact a child, like I feel like that's showing that you're trying to be a good mom. If you fail at some type of sport, you fail at learning a new hobby, like that to me shows you're excited about something and excited about the next day, and you're not taking the time you have for granted. Like even me starting this new series and attempting something new, it's really scary. A big part of me is not feeling very optimistic about it. Like I'm expecting to fail again, but like I'm not scared of it. I think that mindset shift is really important. And I think that's something that like failure is something we often associate with your adolescence, like failing within the context of school or sports or some sort of extracurricular activity is very common, I feel like, in your childhood. And I don't want to lose that like into my adulthood. I feel like that's kind of what's been keeping me going. And I'm realizing failure is also a muscle. Like the more often it happens, the more used to it I get. Like even these types of get ready with me videos are really hard for me because I'm really bad at multitasking. But I've done a number of them now because I've kind of forced myself to, because I want to practice. Like I want to practice talking to you guys while I'm doing something. And yeah, I still feel like I'm failing at this, but I also feel like something that comes hand in hand with failing is potentially disappointing someone or people around you. And that's also something like you just gotta get used to. Like disappointing people is a part of life and a part of the process. And I know that's a feeling that so many of us are so afraid of, but I feel like with that comes growth. Anyway, I gotta get to filming some stuff and doing some work, but this was a lot of fun kind of talking about courage in your adulthood, in your 30s with you guys. It was actually really therapeutic for me to kind of process all of this and also continue to encourage myself to be courageous. As we all know, it's not easy. Like complacency and being stagnant is sometimes a lot easier. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.